Now I'm pleased to introduce Don Howard, Executive Director, and Emily Robertson-Hood, Senior Consultant from Alvanon. If you have ever wondered how does Alvanon develop its off-the-shelf standard series and how do we get them to represent regionally and specialty markets, this will be an absolutely fascinating conversation. In this brief session, The Path to Standardization, Alvanon Standard Series, Emily and Don will explain how Alvanon develops the size sets, highlighting recent releases and discussing the roadmap for what's next. Don and Emily, welcome.
Thank you, Saul. Hey, Emily.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. We're so happy to be a part of the 3D Tech Fest 3rd annual, and kind of excited to share with you some of the behind the scenes things that we do here at Alvanon. Emily, if you would go ahead and share that presentation.
I'll be honest, I thought I was. So clearly an issue here on my end. My apologies.
So at Alvanon, as that's coming up, we're very, very mindful of helping our clients with a pathway towards standardization, because we know that standardization is super important for sizing and fit consistency. And over the years, we have developed many sizing standards to give our clients kind of off-the-shelf solutions, right? And as you can see here from this image, over the years, we've worked with countless brands and retailers globally on custom solutions. And what we've seen is ending up in a place where things that were truly needed and appropriate for maybe traditional and regional sizing, for shaping standards, and also, kind of uncovered some unique and underserved demographics. So, and along the way, we've just witnessed these patterns of commonality, and we really feel strongly that they could benefit many of our customers. Now, to put this talk into a little bit more context, if you could stay on that last slide, Emily, please. For those of you who saw Jason's opening talk yesterday, and if you haven't, please go back and look at it. Kind of from our point of view, there's a bigger picture standpoint, and that's helping our brands be in a position to operate from what we're calling a production-ready mindset. So, in our view, using these standardized tools, the avatars, the physical form, along with the grading and the blocks, would give you all the tools you need at your disposal to provide accurate and consistent garment development and production. So again, the concept is not new to us. Since 2004, really, even before Emily and I even started at Alvanon a few years before, we've made every effort to provide these regional standards, again, as off-the-shelf fit tool options. And of course, today with the fit forms and the 3D identical avatars, we've gone so far in that world. To tell you how we do it, they're created by our consulting and 3D modeling teams, very much data-based, and they're meant to reflect changes in the population for size and shape. We know that, of course, we're talking about inclusivity here, and in terms of sizing, changes in demand for inclusive sizing. There's ever-evolving technology and end-use features that we continue to work with. And then really the real revelation in the last few years is the need to have complete size sets in 3D and the digital supply chain that go on the kind of focus on a core fit size only. We want to be able to see what this range looks like in all sizes. So Emily, you want to take a peek inside, let the audience know kind of how we go about this?
Yeah, and one of the questions that we get all the time is how do we formulate our standards? And of course, data is one large part of it, and it's more than just data. I loved earlier when the presenter showed the multiple different ways that she had taken data in, and then she decided on something. So data is great, but it needs to, it's a game changer actually, but you have to actually know what you're looking at in order to create a realistic human body. And as we saw in that clip from REI, that's a great example of a brand that we we're able to take a look through filtering for ethnicity, filtering through age groups, filtering through regions of the world or the country where they live in. And that takes a lot of subjectivity out of the fit room. When you have actual data to fall back on, that's a great thing. Then when you add health and demographic trend data into the mix, the human body really comes into clear focus. But one thing we really want to point out is it's not just about data when you're developing a standard fit form. We're essentially technicians who know how to merge data and commercial expectations, both the client's expectations and the end user's expectations. So, as Don said, determining the sample size is very key, important part of the puzzle. However, understanding what's happening to the human body over the entire size range as it gets bigger or smaller, that's a whole nother ball of wax that you really do need to have that expertise, look at the data, and then understand what's realistic. The thing is we've had some really great alliances over our time. We've partnered with ASTM. We've looked in on the work that they're doing specifically for kids. Very interesting to note here the kids of 2004 and how they looked vis-a-vis 2018. And this is an area where we get questions all the time. What constitutes kids? When does someone stop being in the kid range, particularly at that upper end of the range? So really what we've done is we go through all these rigors to develop the standard series, and we've really started to branch out quite a bit. And
Emily, I love that. If you go back, I love the contrast there. Our first stab at 2004 in a standard series for kids. And then just as we evolve over time, we get better at what we do and using all that medical data to come up with a standard that looks significantly improved for 2018.
Yeah, and one of the most important things is these are very much stair steps, right? Little stair
Yeah.
steps. That's something that doesn't actually happen in the human body. At a certain point, you plateau out. So great learnings for us from the medical data.
So, when we were putting this together, we said, well, why don't we start at the beginning? And it's really kind of interesting to see kind of the things that we've been doing over the years, right, Emily?
Yeah, and this for me, since I've been working with Alvanon since 2007, was like a walk down memory lane, remembering some of the developments, and then actually seeing how we've been able to branch out into regionally different areas: Mexico, Asia. We partner with Shape GB to create the British kids. Um, Again, strong partnership. But then we also started to go from the Pan Asia body into more regionalized bodies, which we think really serves the market for where they're at now.
And in around 2018, we kind of looked at each other and said, we really need to do a refresh. So we started with the concept of having available size sets, right, for industry. And we really went back and looked to refresh the bodies, create the accurate size sets, create the blocks and the grading. And it's really been a very, very fulfilling journey here. And most recently, we launched our North American Women's Series, which was very well received. And, just a little nod to the future here in terms of kind of specialty sizing or inclusivity, if you will. A lot of people asking us for petite and even petite plus in the US. And we're getting very strong requests to create a standard series from Europe that would encompass big men and plus size women. And when I say plus women, please don't be offended. It's a technical term. It's a technical designation. So unless the industry can come up with a better one, that's the one we use right now.
And Don, yesterday we actually previewed those North American Petite and Petite Plus, and they look amazing. So we can't wait to show you those to you next week.
Super.
So when we develop these standards, of course, we develop the standard globally. By that we mean the body that's going to fit most people well. And when we think about a standard, that's really the goal, is fit most people well. But then we also notice that we could build this out a little bit. And a really exciting development for us was adding in something that we saw developed a lot in our custom developments, which was this more athletic body. So that was an exciting addition to our standard line.
And women, of course, are very unique, and it's a lot of challenge. But as Emily said, you kind of start where the baseline of the population is from a percentage point of view for size and shape. And then we try to find out the next populous buckets that might be appropriate. And, along with our new North American launch here, the bold curve was very well received because we know that she exists. We know that she's an underserved shape in the population. And, we've gotten a lot of very positive feedback. And of course, we do have our athletic brands. So, we wanted to be able to create an option for those people who are creating, athletic wear to have a standard that might more closely reflect their target customer.
And the best thing is, Don, these are all off the shelf. So
Yeah,
available as physical forms, available as avatars. So I think that's one of the most amazing things for our clients is if you want to sample that bold curve, go ahead, sample that bold curve. Absolutely.
that's right.
So, when we develop a body as a standard, we begin to think about body diversity. Sometimes I think people tend to bucket that as just biggest sizes in the range, but that's not actually all it is. It's also talking globally about the different bodies that we see and how they differ within that global region. It's about acknowledging that there are other bodies, the bold curve, the athletic body. That's all part of what we think of as diversity. And by the way, that doesn't just start at adulthood. It also starts in youth, where we've always offered that standard body and then variations on the standard body, the slim kid, and then the kid that's a little bit bigger. And the really, really cool thing is they're realized in these size sets.
Yeah, if you're going to be in this space and leadership directs you to be, one of the things we like about these size sets is it's a very powerful tool for the cross-functional teams to really visualize size and shape as they get into the bigger sizes, because people don't normally do that. They're always thinking about that core size. So, if you're going to be inclusive, it is super important if you're communicating that commitment to certain customers, you should really have these kind of tools in place to be able to accurately execute that product.
Yeah, and that presenter earlier said that she didn't actually begin to see problems with her pattern until she was fitting on about a 46. So having these size set avatars available in a range this big is really going to help you highlight where you're starting to run amiss with your grade or your sizing.
Exactly. And you know what? Another thing that we need to highlight here is standards can have a very important impact on sustainability. And we've talked about sustainability. It's one of those huge words, just like inclusivity, that are very big umbrellas that mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But one of the core tenets of sustainability is elimination of waste. Okay, so when you think about a standardized fit and sizing strategy, it can make a significant impact on that kind of waste that can be measured and it can be managed. Obviously, that silent metric of creating multiple physical fit samples before you get to approval, those garments are waste. And then also having a very rationalized size set offer that's flexible. You can bring it up, you can bring it down as needed. We talked a little bit, a lot yesterday about AI and how that can contribute to the planning process, right? So having this standardization, you can truly take advantage of effectable, sustainable methods. And of course, we all know that if you don't have a standard, there is no logical basis for decision making or taking action. We love that quote. It's very important. And finally, if we could end on, again, refer to Jason's talk yesterday, very informative, very eye-opening. We know that brands have historically struggled. We've got our Muse Fit model for design. We've got our model that we need to create for garment-ready production. And then, oh, by the way, we might have a marketing muse who might yet still be another individual. And today's world, they're showing up as avatars. So avatars, having multiple avatars that are allegedly representing the same people is going to lead to inconsistency. It means it's going to be built in. So having the ability to have more realism on what these people look like in terms of their ethnicity, their color, their hair, whatever the attributes that speak to your consumer, having them with a common avatar provides a real benefit of consistency that can be accomplished across the enterprise. So in summary here, Emily, we continue to come up with these standard avatars. And we really encourage our brands to explore them, and if they're appropriate, adopt them, because at the end of the day, we feel like they can serve your intended customer with readily available tools to increase efficiency in your system and begin to operate from that kind of production-ready mindset. Emily, it was a pleasure.
Always good to see you, Don.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you so much, Don and Emily. If you get a chance, please swing by our YouTube channel and see if you can answer some comments for us.
Sure, will do. Thanks, Al.
Thank you.